Hello, people. Today, we're going to read a story about the man who has been popular since 2009, Jeff the Killer. But this sound might not, it might not sound as the original, but this is what I found and I hope you enjoy. The day Jeffrey Woods and his family arrived at their new home, the sky was overcast and the weather was muggy. The gray sky seemed to punctuate his mood. Jeff was not thrilled to be here. Their new home was beautiful, though, a true example of his father's newfound success. But still, it wasn't the home he had known. A week after they'd settled in, Jeff and Lou woke up early. The sky was a crisp and gorgeous blue. Although the Louisiana heat was playing its usual cruel tricks, the brothers decided that a morning bike ride to explore the area would be just the right ticket to combat the slight pangs of homesickness they'd both been experiencing over the last week. "I miss home," Lou blurted out as Jeff was smearing salsa on the microwave burrito that would serve as his breakfast. "Me too, Lou, but I guess this home is home now. So we sort of have to make the most of it." "I know, but all of our friends and stuff are back in New Orleans. Remember that building we'd always sneak on top of and watch the city lights come on? "I missed that," we responded, sounding down. "Yeah, in DM Video, the owner knew us, would always let us rent R-rated movies without our parents. And we'd always hook up with the free video game rental if we got a few movies." "I miss that too, Lou. But we have to." Lou interrupted. "I know, we have to make the most out of this, but still. This place just seems so fake, and Mom and Dad still treat us like we aren't even here." "Yep, they do. I was sort of hoping the new house would improve their mood, but how can we do?" Lou had no answer. Jeff finished his breakfast, and the two boys left the house to mount their bikes and explore around a little bit more. As it turned out, the subdivision they had moved in was rather close to a cluster of stores and a small shopping center. Village Shopping Center was the name of the short row of businesses. Within these were a Pizza Hut, a Chinese restaurant, a tobacco store, a Sprint store, and what Jeff and Lou were most excited about, a video store. "We'll have to get Mom or Dad to come down here and open up an account so we can rent the movies," Lou mentioned as Jeff flipped the box over to read the description of a horror movie. "Geez, you're right," Jeff snapped, feeling a bit of frustration. At this thought, he knew he'd be getting his parents to actually come down here and set up a membership would take forever, since their usually after-work routine was to go off in separate rooms until they got hungry enough to come out and speak. Jeff glanced over at a girl working behind the counter. "Maybe I can go over there and sweet-talk her into giving us accounts," he joked. "Yeah, right, Jeff. One look at you and she'll probably ban us," Lou remarked, back a smile broad on his face. "You doubt me, little man." "Doubt you? The guy who's kissed two girls and almost touched something. Never leave, go on over and lay on all charm." "Whatever. I totally could have eaten that girl. But her parents came home and... The last time you told me that story, you said her parents were out of town and her sister came home." Jeff became flustered, and while in the process of trying to make yet another comeback, the girl behind the register removed all doubt by speaking to the boys herself. "Hey, aren't those your bikes?" the woman asked, pointing towards the glass window. "Randy, Keith, and Troy." Jeff and Lou looked over and saw three boys outside, two of which were riding around in circles on the Woods brothers' bikes. They would spin them around and then jump off, letting the bikes crash into the pavement, just again to stand them up until they ride them again. The two boys riding the bikes were both slim in build, while a heavier boy stood on the sidewalk, drinking a Red Bull while watching. Jeff and his brother made their way towards the door of the video game store. When the fat kid saw them coming, Jeff couldn't hear what he said to his two friends, but he made some sort of gesture while shouting, and the other two boys dumped the bikes where they lay and walked towards the sidewalk, directly towards the two brothers. "Those your bikes?" one of the boys asked as Jeff and Lou entered the summer heat. Yeah, why are you writing them? Lou asked sharply. We just saw them there, man. Relax. Figured someone left them out and lent them out for us. The same boy responded as the two friends joined him on either side. Jeff determined to make a good start here. He tried to change the course of his confrontation. Well, they're ours. We just moved here about a week ago. We live on the other side of Fairmont Avenue, a few blocks from here. We were just checking out the neighborhood. Jeff hoped that a civil tone would turn things around, but he could tell by the instant look on the kid's face that this was a difficult gamble. Good for you. You moved somewhere, the fat kid remarked. Oh yeah, Troy, the first boy spoke. They moved into that piece of crap house with a gravel driveway. I was wondering who would move into that place. Well, Randy, we know. The big kid, apparently named Troy, replied. Jeff, still trying to salvage the conversation, tried to peaceful banter one more time. Okay, so you're Troy and you're Randy. Well, I'm Jeff and this is my brother Lou. We just moved from New Orleans. You ain't in New Orleans now, the third boy, who just now decided to speak, remarked. Yeah, and who said you could call us by our names? Randy asked, the insolent privileged smile never leaving his face. Jeff smiled, and responded to Andy. Well, I guess I could have called you a thing, but I figured I would give you the benefit of the doubt. In that moment, a flare of rage replaced that smirk and rested on Randy's face throughout the whole entire exchange. The other two boys, Troy and his still unknown third member of his band, seemed to be momentarily struck silent. Perhaps they weren't used to being stood up to. Oh, I'm sorry, was that language too adult for you? Jeff asked. And now, you, quiet boy. We know this isn't New Orleans, Jeff stated the slim kid that had been reminding him of the geographical locations because if this was New Orleans, the three of you would have already gotten your butt kicked for touching someone else's stuff. The slim kid looked back and forth at his two friends. However, Randy clearly was the leader. Seemed to know what to say, Keith. You're gonna let this little kid talk to you like that? Jeff knew this part. And while he wanted quite badly to sulk, Randy and his pals turned around to a real concern, suddenly invading his mind, as if he and Lou got into a fight on their first week in this new neighborhood. After the parents would freak, how could he particularly hear it now? And while things had been far from perfect in their home, even after the move, there was peace that had fallen over the family, and Jeff, fighting his urges, decided to do his best to keep it. Jeff looked over the three very well-dressed, very privileged-looking suburban kids before them and dismissed them. You guys are boring. Come on, Lou. Let them continue their play dates without us. Lou laughed, and that followed behind his brother towards the bikes. However, Randy and the gang would be toughs and would have none of that. They moved to block Jeff and his brother once again. Where are you going? Randy asked, shoving Jeff. Jeff could tell that that shove had real no conviction. Randy was trying to figure him out, seeing where his buttons were. He'd push harder. Eventually, Jeff swallowed and slowly building anger within him once more. Lou took a bit more acceptation to the shove. We're going to our mom's house. Me and my brother saved up a couple dollars from doing chores, and we hear that she hasn't charged much. As the words left Lou's mouth, Randy appeared to only register a small portion of it all. Randy Hayden had a group up in Mandeville. His father was a partner at a local firm that just made a lot of money. Something else that Jeff would soon come to learn. Randy and his friends, while the same age as Jeff, had grown up in a very different circumstance. They were used to being listened to, and they were used to being feared. In fact, Randy, targeted of the insult, just stood there. It was actually Troy, the fat kid, who stepped forward, with his bald eyes squinting in anger. Who are you talking to? Troy shouted, and took a swing at Lou. Lou, who was in the both better shapes, had spared Jeff one at a time or two during his attempts spending boxing. He was able to avoid the punch just barely, and had that been all, maybe it'd have been once again ended there. Troy was really clearly taken by surprise at Lou's speed and actually didn't attempt another punch. However, these bullies that kids ran into a pack for a reason. The skinny one, Keith's, stepped around and threw a punch that connected with the left side of Lou's face. Well, I guess that's going to be it for now. This is just part 1.